How you doing? My name is Dayvon Love. I am my last semester at Towson University. I am the 2008 Cross-Examination Debate Association National Champion. Currently, I'm a teacher at Connections Academy. Um, the question, what does African American history mean to me? Um, it's really important to know. I mean, it's very cliche, but if you don't know where you've been, you don't really know where you're going. And the best metaphor to use to explain that is the Sankofa bird. You know, that it looks backward in order to really understand where it's going. It understands its orientation based off of where it's been. So similarly, African American history works as a compass, as kind of a historical compass that then helps me craft a sense of consciousness so that as I navigate my way through the world, I can be responsive to many of the things that have shaped who I am and the things that have shaped the world that we live in today.
In 1972, African Americans made it to the semifinals for the first time in history. It didn't happen again so until 1999. What is your impact from that?
Well, one of the things about the debate activity itself is that it's very elite, very white activity. One of the problems in our society is that we have bought into the illusion that there's a whole lot more racial mixing than there actually is. In many of the places that wield the most power, you still have huge barriers in terms of African American participation in those spheres. And so, in a collegiate policy debate on the national level, you don't see a lot of highly successful African American debaters. This could be demonstrated best by looking at those who receive what are called first round at-large bids to the National Debate Tournament. Every year, the top 16 debate teams that are composed of 2 people, so 32 debaters, receive first rounds. The year that I received the first round, which is the second time that a team of African Americans received a first round. But the year that I received one, it was 3 of us out of 32. And that was a good year. There have been years where no African Americans have received a first round at-large bid to NDT. So it just goes to demonstrate that in this country we still have a long way to go. Just because we have a black president and just because we see more racial mixing doesn't mean that we have real substantive progress.
What was your experience going through the National Debate Tournament as a black man, specifically based on how you were judged on your performances? What do you feel that the judges felt from you as an African American sharing this information with them?
Well, one of the things that's very important to recognize about intercollegiate policy debate is that it's a very scholarly activity. One of the things that was crucial for us to tap into was the literature base that African American history and African American studies provides. And it was really when we discovered this literature base and the depth of it that we started to become very successful. And basically what happened was we were able to present judges with information about the world that we live in that are pretty undeniable, right? Many things that are confirmed, a lot of it just based off of mere observation, right? And a lot of it based off of studies that even some of the most conservative organizations have done that demonstrate the types of things that our arguments suggested about the detrimental effects America has had on black people in this country. And while we did, there was, of course, an emotional part of our argumentation, merely because we're implicated by it. Being black people is something that we're implicated by. Our livelihoods are bound up in it. But it was the level of scholarship that we were able to present in defense of our argumentation that I think was something that they're not used to seeing. Most people aren't used to seeing race debated in such a way where there was an abundance of scholarly basis to the argument. And that really was the crux of our success.
What do you feel will happen with African American success in policy debate?
Well, one of the things that's happening all over the country is that debaters from all over the country are now emulating some of the things that Towson was able to do. So you have teams now from Fullerton, Oklahoma, Emporia, teams from Liberty University, teams from all over the country, Lincoln Douglas debaters. I mean, debaters from all over the country are now emulating some of the scholarship because it's really it's a well of very well done scholarship. And unfortunately, we live in a white society that ignores that stuff. And now what's beginning to happen is that debaters from around the country saw our success, saw the power that was in that literature base, and are now starting to use it. And as a black debater in the activity, one of the things that we had to deal with was the fact that people responded primarily with their emotions to our arguments. And so one of the things that the scholarship allowed us to do was it allowed us to show people that it was more to it than just the emotional part, and made it a lot easier for me to deal with the fact that I was an overwhelmingly white activity because it was the scholarship that was the basis for it.
How do you feel after winning the 2008 National Cossacks Debate Championship? Your enlightenment and role in society on black men to further their education.
Well, I mean, one of the things that showed me, one of my actually with the coach that the his name is Andy Ellis. He's the person that coached Devin and I to the national championship. One of the things that he remarked to someone in describing that experience was that he watched us do the impossible. And so I think to me, what it represents is that it shows that, someone from Baltimore who didn't grow up with a silver spoon in their mouth, someone who struggled, someone who, graduated from a public school in Baltimore City, if one puts the energy into it, one puts their heart into it, it shows that we can succeed against the odds. And that knowing that the odds are against us is helpful in being able to beat the odds. Because knowing what I knew and what I know now helps me be able to position myself so I can protect myself from the ways that racism and white supremacy try to undermine my development and my progress. So knowing what I know has helped me do things that many people probably, before I did it, didn't think was possible.
How do you feel that your success will reach out to other African American men?
I think other men will see that, and I think other men who are debaters, see it. Many they're debaters from all over the country that now emulate the style of debate and that feel empowered, feel a sense of racial pride, racial identity, and feel a sense of themselves that they didn't have before they encountered these forms of argumentation. I mean, I go all over the country to judge debates, to talk to people about debate. And anywhere I go in the country, there are debaters who come up to me and, have heard about what I've done, have watched the finals round that's on Google Video, and remark about how it fundamentally changed their life. I was just talking to a debater from Poly the other day who said that, she was inspired by what she saw and is emulating the same forms of argumentation into her style of debate. So I think it's having a really transformative effect on black people who choose to participate in the activity in a way that I'm pretty sure nothing else has ever been able to do, and that nothing else after will be able to do to the same extent.
My final question. You have already made a mark on African American history. How do you feel, or are you planning to make more marks in African American history?
I mean, most definitely. I mean, what's important is making sure that we improve the general welfare of black people in this country, that we use all the resources at our disposal to make a difference in this society. Um, and so, with that being said, for me, it's not a question. For me personally, it's not a question